This meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. It's the April 24th, 2025 Executive Council meeting. You have an ongoing invitation to stand and move at any time. Number 3, could I have the approval of the agenda? I'm sure everybody's read it. Is there?
I have something to add.
Okay.
I would like to add, I received a letter from the Honorable Kent Smith that I circulated to council. I received it yesterday. I circulated it to council yesterday, but I'd like to add it for information. I'd like to read it during the meeting.
Okay. So for information, there would be.
That would be correspondence for information 14E.
14E. Okay. So can we have the approval of the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So number 4, we have a presentation. We've got your backpack. So have a seat, and if you can introduce yourselves.
Hot mic. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And that mic can be shared, or we can put the other one on.
Okay, yep.
You guys entirely. I just don't want any feedback.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us. We are from Yarmouth Wesleyan Church, where We've Got Your Backpacks program. My name is Dave Hockley, and I'm one of the assistant pastors at the church, and with me is Rhonda Boudreau, who you all know, and she is our program director, and we promise to only take about 45 minutes of your time tonight. So we appreciate it very much. Just to give you a brief snapshot of the history of the program, this goes back to 2022, having conversations among our staff at the church of what's our next big outreach thing going to be. We knew it was going to have something to do with kids and something to do with food, and we tossed around a few ideas. And the idea of a program up in New Brunswick, actually, very similar to how we run this one, came about. And when that started around the table, everyone leaned in, and we could tell that there was a lot of interest. And so this program was birthed in November of 2022, and here we are in our 3rd year. And we are thankful for all of our partners, specifically the schools. We've worked with 7 schools at the moment, and their vigilance in making sure that these backpacks go to families that need the food on a week-in, week-out basis is vital. We have no part in that process. We don't know who any of these bags go to. The teachers at the schools, the administrators, they know the situations of these families, who's doing well and who's not. And so we leave that to them, and they have been absolutely wonderful to work with. We couldn't ask for any better. When it comes to our other partners, it is Superstore on a week-in, week-out basis with a mega grocery order each time. They are wonderful to work with, as well as a few business partners here in the area that we give a lot of thanks for. That's where a portion of our funding comes from, as well as donations and a lot of grants as well. We are always working that process as much as we can. And we've done some fundraising as well, going back to the National Acadian Festival Day at the airport there back in August. We raised $5,500 just from selling hot dogs. And so that was pretty cool. We were happy to get those finances, but also an opportunity to share with people about the program as it went along. And just a few statistics for you that can be updated because they've changed since we handed the information out to you. As of April the 17th, for the 2024-2025 school year, we have delivered over 1,800 backpacks or reusable bags or boxes, depending on the situation. And that has included $50 and $25 gift cards sent out to families over Christmas and March breaks, respectively. And to this point, through the school year, we have sent out over $58,300 of groceries to families that need those resources.
Thank you, Dave. So I'm just going to take a few moments. Mike, this one? Good?
Oh, now you're bad.
Good. Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to take a few moments to talk about firstly how the program works on a weekly basis. So every Wednesday, I place a grocery order through Superstore PC Express to be picked up the following Thursday by our packing team volunteers. The team arrives at Superstore at 8:30 in the morning. They bring the groceries to the church where they're unpacked, packed into backpacks, and then the volunteers bring them to the schools, and the schools distribute them to the students. This runs like a well-oiled machine. Shortly after we started this process, they had it figured out. It runs very, very well. There's a couple of the schools that deliver the bags to the students' homes and the families themselves, so that's really nice. The schools have been incredible to work with. So that's kind of how that works week in, week out. So I also want to talk about how the program has affected the different groups involved, because we feel like it's been a positive impact on on different groups. First of all, I'll just talk a little bit about the volunteers. So we think it's been a blessing to our volunteers, this program. Every single Thursday before the bags are packed, we sit and have a little chit chat. Kind of in a circle, kind of like this actually, just as kind of a way to connect with each other and just see how everybody's doing and just to connect. Dave came up with this idea a few weeks after the program started, and it's added a lot to our packing days. And I'd just like to take a minute to mention a few of the volunteers in particular. So firstly, we have a young man who has struggled with schizophrenia for many years. Life has been really difficult for him. So when asked what this program means to him, he said that it is what he looks forward to the most in his week, and that it gives him a sense of deep purpose and a reason to get up in the morning. It was impossible to hold back tears when he told us this, about how important this is to his life. Another one of the volunteers said that she feels like we're our own little family, and she's so thankful for the deep bond that has been created. We also have many seniors who volunteer with us, and they find a lot of joy and purpose and fulfillment in making this program work, and they just find it's such a sense of belonging. We also have one volunteer, this is really special, whose family was a recipient for 2 years of the backpacks, and she's thrilled now to be able to give back by being a part of this ministry. As for the schools, we've heard so much positive feedback from the schools as well. It means as much to them as it does to us. As we mentioned earlier, a couple of the staff members from the schools have taken on to personally deliver the bags to the families, to the homes of the recipients. Yeah. The principal of one of the schools wrote this, and I'd like to share. She said, "We've Got Your Backpacks has been very impactful for our families. Every Thursday, they receive a backpack filled with nutritious food to bring home. Each child comes to pick up their bag at the office. The first one tests out a few to see which one is the heaviest, and that's the one they choose," which is funny because they're all exactly the same. "They are so thankful and excited to bring home these treats. As they walk away with their backpacks, their smiles light up the room. Our school community is thankful to those who give generously to make this program happen. Always remember that what seems like a little bit often makes a huge difference." And this note was received from another school. "I wanted to extend our heartfelt gratitude for your incredible support in addressing food insecurities within our school community. Your generous contributions have ensured that our students and their families have access to food, providing a little food security for them. Your dedication and compassion have made an impact, providing relief and strengthening community bonds. Thank you for your unwavering support. We truly do appreciate it." Another one of our school contacts messaged me to say that a mom had told them the day that the bag is dropped off that this is her child's absolute favorite day of the week. And another said that another mother told us that it was the only consistency in their week. As for the families, first and foremost, our goal is to provide the families with nutritious food so that we can help them in this tangible, meaningful way every single week. And it is important to us that they do have this consistency in their lives. The food is primary and important, but we also hope that this can free up a little bit of extra money to put towards a bill or other things that they may need. But also, we hope that they know and can feel that they're deeply cared for by our entire team. We pray for these families every single morning that the bags are packed. And in the past few months, we've included little prayer cards that we send to the families that they can choose to fill out or not. But if they want to, they can fill them out and return them when they return the backpack. One in particular stood out to us, and before we go over the contents of the bag, I would just like to share with you what this one family wrote. They said, "Please pray for medicine we can afford, meat for our freezer, and heat for our home. And this is why we do what we do." So with that being said, we would just like to take a couple minutes to show you the contents of the bag, and this is just an example. It changes week to week. We try to change it up and mix it up. So bear with me as I unpack this. So every week we have a bread product. So this example is an in-store baked bread, and it would either be this or bagels or English muffins. We always have 3 different produce items. So this example, we have strawberries, bananas, and carrots. We always put either cereal or oatmeal. We put 3 different snack items. So here we have fruit cups, bear paws, and popcorn. And I've been told by staff at the school that popcorn is their favorite. She knows when there's popcorn. The next day, she's going to be popping popcorn for 15 minutes of recess. And we always have either a pasta item or rice and something to go with the pasta. So pasta sauce or tomato soup or canned tomato, something to go with it. And again, this changes slightly every week. And I guess unless Dave has anything else to say, that concludes our presentation.
That's it. Yep.
My name's Greg Foster. Rhonda already knows who I am because she was born and raised in my district that I represent. And pleased to meet you, Mr. Hawley. Is Hockley, Mr. Hockley, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm curious, what are the 7 schools that you service through your organization?
Yep.
Could you?
So we have PEB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, PEB is one. We have Drumlin,
Okay.
Plymouth, Meadowfields, Yarmouth High, Yarmouth Elementary,
Okay.
and Alternative High. Is that 7?
Okay. Yes.
So I've got 7 there, yeah.
I'm familiar with all of those
Yeah.
schools.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess what I was really asking, are there any of those in the municipality of Argyle?
Yeah,
And, well,
yeah,
almost half of them, Peb, Drumlin, and Plymouth.
yes, yeah.
Specifically, 18 bags between Plymouth, or 18 bags between Peb and Drumlin.
Okay,
12 for Peb and 6 for Drumlin at the moment.
okay.
Yep.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you. So just a quick tally, your bag, it probably costs somewhere around $20 per bag or so of food product? Or
35, so.
Really, we're up to that
30 to
much, like
35.
30 to
It depends on the
$35 per-
week and what is going.
Yep. And how many bags do you have going out on a weekly basis?
As of this week, 76. It just went up one more, yeah. this week.
76 bags per week and approximately $30 to $35 per
Yeah,
bag.
it all depends kind
Yep,
of the
sure.
contents and the sales
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, and I'm not sure if I've missed something here or what. It's a great presentation. What is your ask? What are,
We don't have one this evening.
you don't have an ask?
We've already applied for a grant through the process. And so this was purely informative.
Just to
and just
inform.
happy to spread
Yep.
the word and make sure as many people as possible know about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Warden Albright.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I work in the school system, and I work in several schools in Tri-County, and I've seen this in practice, and it's incredible. It's incredible the excitement that these students get. I've often said, I'm also on the Argyle Recreation Commission, and I've often said that when you're wondering what's happening out in society, go visit a school. And you see it in a school. And we don't always realize, because sometimes, we've had conversations at ARC where we've had presentations come into us, and we've had members not understanding and realizing that we have food insecurity issues in our municipality. So it's definitely in our municipalities, in our schools, and I have seen today, to be honest, I saw today the bags being handed out and the excitement that went home. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. Just looking over and watching you people take that stuff out of that bag, and only thing I was thinking of is beautiful but sad, all at the same time. Thank you people for what you do.
Our
And,
pleasure.
you know, I guess looking around, we tend to take a lot of things for granted sometimes. Picture a child getting excited to carry that home when
Yeah.
we carry it out of a store and think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Thanks again for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Surratt.
Hi, thanks for the presentation, thanks to the volunteers and filling the backpacks. The more you advertise, of course, the more you advertise, the more it becomes aware and the more it's going to grow. And is your hope to grow? What is kind of your hope in the long run? Like, where do you see this program in the next 5 years?
Absolutely. I think our hope has been from the start to, we start with what we could do, but our goal is to add more schools. And, that's going to depend, of course, like Dave said, on grants and funding but definitely our goal is to grow.
If we can peel back the curtain a little bit, if at all possible, thinking of, I believe, 13 schools from Pubnico to Port Maitland, we would love to be in all of them if at all possible. And it's going to require more than what we've got at the moment, but that's certainly something we would love to see. So, yep.
So thank you very much. It's a great presentation and, I'm sorry. Councillor Burke.
Thank you,
She just
Deputy
popped in.
Warden. Thank you for what you do. I know there's a need out there. I work for a church group as well, and we hand out for fuel and things like that too. So thank you for delivering this to the schools. I know it's much needed. So just thank you for your presentation. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, again, thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
We appreciate what you do and how you do it. So hopefully it'll keep growing like everybody hopes it does. And maybe someday end all this hunger. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, folks.
Appreciate it. Try to get back this country gracefully.
Have to call one of the Packers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention we have regrets from Gordon?
I didn't, but I can see that.
Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. So before we move on, I have to apologize. There was one regret, Councillor Boudreau. So now we move to number 5, the adoption of minutes, and it is the March 20th regular council meeting. There's an attachment where the minutes were deferred to this meeting. They were revised and amended, I do believe. So we need approval of those minutes.
He's moving.
You move to approve?
So, yeah, that
It
is
is-
my intent.
Motion by Councillor
Foster.
Foster, sorry.
It's hard sometimes to remember.
Do we have a seconder? Seconder by Councillor LeBlanc. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 5B is the approval of April 10 council meeting minutes. So moved by Councillor Digdon. Seconded by Councillor Madden.
I just wanted to make a comment on them. Just trying to find it. On 11E, if I can find it. Where it talks about the Department of Transportation and Public Works, just a correction around the Department of Public Works. We often talk about the Department of Transportation, But they've been Department of Public Works for quite a while now, so I just wanted to correct that in the minutes.
Okay.
I'd like to make a brief comment on the minutes as well. I got half excited the other day. I was at school and I received a text on my phone, and I was busy, so I couldn't get to it right away. But when I checked it out later, somebody was informing me that they thought they saw the bushwhackers at the Chemin de la Pointe in Hubbard's Point, which is not the Chemin Tour des Bides. But I investigated, and it turned out not to be so. But I was hoping that's what it was. And I checked a couple of days ago, and they haven't been down yet. And the flyer box has not been touched yet either. So I'm going to have to call the company 3 times a day, every day, until they replace it, or perhaps we might be involved with replacing that box. Thank you.
CEO,
So on the minutes, just a couple of things on the minutes. So sometimes what happens was when if something is said that is not quite proper, the minutes will reflect what was said and not necessarily the actual, I can't confirm today whether that has happened or not. Certainly, we can make an amendment if that is the wish. On the minutes themselves, we've done this 2 ways. We've either approved them or we've asked for any comments, and if there are no comments, we accept as presented because the minutes are the minutes. So Robert's Rules of Order would suggest that that's the right way to do it. Both ways are okay. And I think in light of what, there were quite a few changes on the March 20th, it makes perfect sense that you would make a motion because we want to make sure that those things were rectified. So on the potential amendment of the April, we will double check to make sure that the motion was stated that way, and if it wasn't stated specifically that way, we will correct it to make sure that it's the
I
right.
do know the use of the word transportation was used during the motion, so it would be
It may
stated the way
have
it was
been-
stated.
Right, it may
Yeah.
have been us transcribing it
Yeah,
in a certain
but the
way.
words were there.
Yeah, okay, we will check into that and we'll make an amendment if amendments need to be.
okay, so there's a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. So we move on to Article 6A, which is Department Head Reports. Those are quite lengthy, but they're active projects and completed projects. I'm sure everybody had a chance to look. Is there any questions on those? Councillor Madden.
I've got something written down here. There, at one time, there's a welcoming package and that the senior group had taken care of that for newcomers, whatever. I know we talked about it in my last council in 2012 or whatever, that we had a welcoming package for newcomers to the municipality. Has that ever been addressed since then, or do we have something somewhere on these?
CEO Wale.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Councillor Madden, that is in reference to the strategic plan update that's on a separate item. But the answer to the question is we did not prepare a welcoming document directly.
Okay.
So we would have, through Norbert, Norbert Leblanc had made a presentation about les aînés and how les aînés, they did it both French and English, and it was, I don't know if it was a welcoming, but it was really more of a
Awareness.
awareness of where the services are. So it's a form, I guess, of welcoming, but not specifically like, welcome to Argyle, here's a basket, right? So that's not, certainly not, that has not been done by the municipality directly. Indirectly, there have been some immigration initiatives led by the CDNA or the Western Ren that may have addressed some of this to a very small level. Outside of that, that's the best I can update you on that question. But you did pick that up on the strategic plan
Yeah,
update.
there's so much
It's
stuff
on the
there.
agenda,
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
different, yeah. No, it's an excellent question, and the answer is no, we did not lead it as a municipality as of yet.
So, on the second part, is there's any suggestion, like, okay, I ran into a couple the other day that were clearing their land, and I noticed that it was, the for sale sign was gone, and they've sold. And so I stopped and I introduced myself and gave them my card. So I don't know if there's anything we can do more than that. At the time, they asked about where the municipal administration building was, and I told them, and they said, okay, we know where it is now. So I just wish I could have given them something, but, so,
Certainly, if it pleases council, we can, at a future meeting, maybe prepare a little bit of information to kind of address this question for you. Because if it's something of importance to council, certainly we will respond to that. There's a variety of ways we might do that, councillor, and if that is the will of council, we can come up with 5 or 6 different ideas and options to present to you just to see what it might look
like,
like.
this was a really good,
It's one of many things that could be done, though, right?
With the
It's-
seniors,
correct.
depending on the age of the newcomers.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be a great resource.
yeah, that's good, I'm good.
Thank you.
Councillor Foster.
Yes, on that subject. About a month ago, I attended in Surratt's Island a meet and greet with newcomers in the community. And it was very well attended. I thought it would be specifically for residents of Surratt's Island, Morris Island, but there were people there from Amiros Hill, and there were people from Seuss Point, newcomers there. I was quite pleased to see them there. I don't know who took the initiative to organize this activity. There was food and there was music, and it was a wonderful occasion for long-term residents to get to know their new neighbors and to socialize, and I just found it a great opportunity. I don't know if it was sponsored by a government agency or a government grant. I could speak to the organizers and find out if they got funding for that. It was originally slated to take place on Halloween, what am I saying? It was originally slated to take place on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. Sorry, I'm a little tired. But they couldn't hold it because the parking lots were covered in ice, and it would have been too dangerous. So it was postponed for a month later. And I really enjoyed the opportunity. And I think we could use more of these elsewhere in the municipality, and perhaps there is funding available for these types of things. Maybe somebody knows around the table.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. So I guess we can move to 6B, which is the clerk's report. It has a lot to do with the council motions, and it's fairly lengthy as well. Any questions on that? Councillor Surratt.
Thank you. A question I had was regarding the November 22nd, 2022, the outdoor light pollution motion made for feedback from business owners, and I was wondering if that had taken place. It's ongoing, so it's certainly not complete.
No.
But wondering if any has taken place, if there's a plan, now that I'm on the new committee.
Yes. It's an excellent.
CAOLA.
It's an excellent question. Through you, Mr. Chair, I know that the Dark Sky Reserve has been impatiently waiting for this to be completed. I will explain the process and what we've gone through so far briefly. The light pollution bylaw, since this motion has seen a lot of changes and almost unrecognizable from that date, a lot of which the input would have come from the Starlight designation organization themselves. Right now, we're really stuck on language and making sure that we have a proper education of this new bylaw, as well as we are talking about the enforcement of the bylaw. So it's one thing to do the bylaw and say we should have our lights to aim down, and which honestly, that's as simplistic as I could tell you what the bylaw is. It's like, if you've got lights, make sure they're not too bright and aim them down, right? So, there are, of course, rules associated with that. And also, we have to determine the ways that we can enforce such bylaw. So we'd like to have all of that understood before we actually roll it out officially. We still expect that there will be I say soft launch, in the sense that we have not gone to businesses individually because the bylaw hasn't ripened to the point where we could. That's coming, I'd say, within the next 30 to 45 days. I would suspect that the businesses will get a chance to take a look at this. I will remind the council as well that this bylaw is not an enforceable bylaw until 2027 or 20, I can't recall the date. It is right in the bylaw, but I will, and so it is a strong encouragement of a voluntary, non-enforced usage of the bylaw. There are still quite a few questions we have with Nova Scotia Power, as well as, because they are a major provider of lighting in the area, and I know the Starlight Committee is having this issue as well. Last but not least, I think we have to contemplate, since we're doing a bylaw like this, what does it mean? What's the transition, and what's the municipality's role in assisting businesses and residents transition some of these lights? Because that comes at a cost, right? There's a cost associated with that, and in fact, there's actually a savings associated with that if it's done properly. Because if the lighting is done properly, it emits less energy, and therefore less kilowatt hours and less of the bill. However, there's an investment needs to happen. So there's a lot of those specific things that were really, it's taking a long time to finish. I will say that we're about 90% at this point. And I can also confirm that I've asked Ailey Canning, who used to work for us, to lead the education piece. So she is packaging the education side so people can be informed about what does this light pollution thing mean, because there's a lot to learn. And there's fear associated with these potential changes around safety and security, because a lot of us, we like the lights in our area because for that reason, right? So we have to address those concerns directly. That was a summary.
Thanks.
Councillor Foster.
Yes, I just got a notice on my computer. I received some information about who organized the meet and greet session in Surratt's Island. The message on my computer said that it was former Councillor Guy Surratt, and there were no grants involved, that he took the initiative and organized it, and I certainly want to give him full credit for a fine job well done. It was very much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so seeing that, we are going to 6C, building permit report. And a lot of councilors like this one because it showcases the building permits in each district. Is there any questions here? Seeing none, we will move to Article 7, appointment of auditors. There's an attachment and a proposed motion. The proposed motion reads that council approve the firm Don Grant Thornton LLP as auditors for the municipality of the District of Argyle for the fiscal year of 225-226. Moved by Councillor Digdon.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we will move to Article 8, appointment of officers. There's also an attachment. It is to appoint the officers of each department. Is the motion, the proposed motion reads that council approve the enclosed list of appointments as officers of the municipality of the District of Argyle for the fiscal year of 225-226. Councillor Surratt.
I just had a question regarding the dog control. SPCA is listed here. And we, of course, had that at the last meeting, that they were perhaps no longer going to provide that service. And just wondering if we approve a service that will likely not happen.
CAO.
Through you, thank you for the question. Good question. The quick answer is we put it there until their contract is completed. So they do have 2 or 3 two and a bit months in this year. So once their contract expires, and we're still not 100% sure what that's going to look like, they've given us a bit of a warning. If they would continue, obviously there's nothing to do, but if there is another solution, then we would then have to pass another motion designating an officer at that time. But for now, it's still them.
I'll make the motion that council approve the enclosed list of appointments as officers of the Municipality of the District of Argyle for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
I'll second.
So it is moved by Warden Albright and seconded by Councillor Surratt. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we will go to appointment of officers, number 8, and there's a proposed motion here as well. The proposed motion is that council approve that Hood, Fraser, Dothermall as solicitors of the Municipality of the District of Argyle for the fiscal year of 225-226. It moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Digdon. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 10. Bear with me. Membership to NSFM and FCM. There's a proposed motion that council approve the membership to NSFM and FCM for 225-226. It is moved by Councillor LeBlanc,
Second.
seconded by Warden Albright.
I just want to make, just change the subject line on that one.
Oh, yes, on the memorandum, yes.
Yeah. Too many motions.
Any questions, other? All in favor? I'm sorry. Madden, Councillor Madden.
Is there a cost, and why is it there? Usually when we make a motion that is money, we show it.
That's a good question. CAO Alain.
Yes, there is a cost associated with the membership NSFM and FCM, and I'd be happy to bring that information to bear as early as this meeting, if you'll provide me a moment to look at it. It's typically we just approve the membership at this time, but you're quite right. The cost could be attached to those easily. One of the things I can do is I can take a look at that and see if we can disclose that cost to you now. And you can choose to defer any sort of decision until that information is received later in the agenda. Does that work?
Sure.
Does that work for, like?
Yeah, I just, usually when there's a motion that requires funding or money, or it's usually there for us to, good point.
Yeah, I think the other
If somebody
appointments.
asked me tomorrow, how much is it, I wouldn't know.
No, it's an excellent point, and I think it is different than the appointment of solicitor, for instance, because that might be an hourly rate, and so it'd be very difficult to tell what that would be, for instance, or the auditors. This is a fixed fee, so I will get that information for you. If you wish to defer a decision on this, I can get that information for you before you make it.
Okay.
Okay, so those motion has been seconded, and we're going to move that to later on during the meeting here. So we'll move to 11, 7-day notice. There are none.
Sure, I guess, yeah.
So we'll go to 12, financial approvals for sewer budgets. Do we have to make motions for each separate one here?
Yes, I think we should, because they are all separate committees that have different costs and there may be different stories or questions on each motion. So I will note that the West Pubnico, Wedgeport, Tusket are shown separately. There's one thing I would like to add on the Tusket fee, though it has increased by $50. the capital was $260, and that's now zero. So there has been an increase to operations, but the capital has been fully paid in that instance. But the answer is yes, a separate motion for each, please.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve the West Pumlico?
Be it moved that council establish the following: the operating fee for the West Pubnico sewer per equivalent unit is $440.
Do we have a seconder? Okay, it's moved by Councillor Digdon and seconded by Councillor Madden. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We need a motion to approve the Wedgeport sewer.
I'll move that the operating fee for Wedgeport per equivalent unit is $175, and the capital fee per equivalent unit is $550.98.
Do we have a seconder? Okay, we have a motion by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Burke. Do we have questions?
Only thing I'm looking at here, and it might be just a typo, the operating fee for Wedgeport per equivalent unit is not $175. I believe that may not have been being put there.
Just,
So it remains the same as what's, okay.
Just for anyone that may be watching or reading it
It's
over.
not.
oh, yeah, oh,
Right there.
Okay.
Which is why I didn't read it. You see that?
is not, oh, yes, it is,
It is, that's what I thought.
yeah.
That's all just for transparency and
Yeah.
to hold
Yeah.
I
it.
believe your motion was correct in regards that you did not
I
say.
didn't say not.
That, yeah.
Yeah,
I almost did.
That'd be an interesting motion. Let's
Right.
not do that. Let's
Yeah.
not charge that.
yeah. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we need a motion for the Tuscan sewer.
I'll make that motion.
So he's moved by Councillor Surratt, seconded by Councillor Madden. Any questions? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we move on to 13 for decision and discussion, Article P, hiring and of a probation officer. That was there's an attachment on this one, and there's a list. There was a list of potential, pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. 12B, East Pumlico Water Utility Charge, yeah. All right. So, pardon me, we go to 12B, East Pumlico Water Utility Charge. We need a motion, there's a proposed motion on this one as well? Sure.
Being moved that council accepts following rates for the East Pumco Water Utility for 2025-26 fiscal year. Middle East Pumlico quarterly fee, $3,978.29 plus $4.22 per 1,000 imperial gallons. And the Lower East Pumlico quarterly fee is $739.26 for 1.5-inch pipe plus $2.49 per 1,000 imperial gallons. And Lower East Pumlico quarterly fee of $1,182.14 for a 2-inch pipe plus $2.49 per 1,000 imperial gallons.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we have the fire rates. So are these all, is this one motion, CAO? Or are these all separate?
I always lean on the separate, just because there may be discussions on one individual. I don't think there's there isn't a hard rule one way or another, and Councillor Donaldson would always tell me, can we just make one? But I think because of the nature of the potential discussion on one, I think they should be done individually.
Okay, so it is a motion that council approve the area rates set out by the fire departments as presented for the fiscal year 225 to 26, and we will start with East Pumlico, and it is year 6 of 6. Motion by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Surratt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second one is the Eelbrook Fire Department, a year 7 of 10. Can we have a motion for approval? Moved by Councillor Madden and seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Third is Island and District, year 4 of 5. Can we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
It is moved by Warden Albright, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Fourth, Lake Vaughan, year 10 of 10. Can we have? It is moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Madden. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Quinnen, year 7 of 12.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
It is moved by Rochelle, seconded by Warden Albright. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Wetchport, year 3 of 6. It is moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. West Pumlico, year 2 of 2. Moved by Councillor Digdon, seconded by Councillor Surratt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That was the last one, so we can now move to 13 for discussion, decision and discussion. Article PS, hiring for probation of, hold on here, hiring and probation of staff. There's an attachment in a proposed motion by our CAO. Am I correct with this one?
There's some amendments.
You would have received 7-day notice on Article 13A, B, and C. And the changes are in red, and they have not changed since the last time you reviewed them. So you may choose to approve them today or amend or defer.
I'll move that we accept the hire and receive probation of staff.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Warden Albright. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we need to do a separate one for the strategic plan refresh. Or the flexible work schedule?
Yeah.
Yes. That's Article P3, flexible work schedule. There's an attachment. And there's minor changes here in red. There's a proposed motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion that we accept the flexible work schedules policy.
Okay, it is moved by Warden Albright and seconded by Councillor Surratt. Councillor Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we are 4-day work week. Article P39, 4-day work week. Again, there are minor changes here. It's the same policy. Do we have a motion to accept?
And I can second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Surratt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Strategic plan refresh. That is a lengthy one. There's no motion needed here, is there? CAO.
I think, no motion to approve. I mean, what this basically is the strategic plan that you would have endorsed, I guess the previous council would have endorsed. The reason for bringing it to your attention is that you know, quite a few things have been amended or changed since we first began. So the point would be to show where we are at on the strat plan. And if council wishes to discuss it further, if council wishes to, well, council can accept this information. Like, I don't think there's an appropriate approval, but there is an acceptance of it if it chooses to. There may be things that you would like to see differently moving forward. And certainly you can accept this as is if you wish, and still, at a future meeting, raise the issue or bring up things that you would like to see inside the strat plan. So I would suggest that the pillars and the vision and the mission, all those remain fairly stagnant. And so the goals also remain relatively stagnant, but how you get there is a matter of council. So there are things that you would like to see perhaps included or added to this now or into the future. And so our invitation as staff is to say, look, this is your document, this is where we are. And if you wish to revisit this on a quarterly, whatever just looking for direction from council as to how you'd like to proceed with this in the future. And whether you want to discuss it now or later is entirely up to you. If you wish, either way, you can accept this today. It doesn't change the fact that you can't revisit it and say, I'd like to put more on the table. So that would be what I'd say about that.
Okay, so do we want to accept this as is today? Warden Albright.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I feel comfortable accepting this as it is today, especially knowing that if something else comes up that we want to add to this, I think a strategic plan is mostly, it's a roadmap, right? It helps set our direction. And because without it, you know, you're randomly pulling things and as they come, right? So this is our roadmap and I'm ready to accept it, and especially knowing that if we get some bumps in the road, we can always figure out a way to get over them. So I'm good with it. I would make a motion to accept our strategic plan.
Councillor Burke.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Warden. I agree. I think we should accept this, and as our CAO told us, we can always revisit this. I think it's good to revisit this maybe quarterly, just to see where we are and what's done, what's not done, what should be done, and if there's anything new to add or anything like that, so. So I'll second it.
Okay, she seconded.
Motion seconded, sorry.
Okay, so Kathy seconded. Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you. Yeah, I fully agree with this. Like any strategic plan, and looking at this one, which does run, it's a 5-year plan. Obviously, there's things that take place that can change the direction at any given time. I look at this as a live document, one that can be revisited at any time and look to either build on or detract from and work it that way. I certainly agree with Councillor Burke that this is probably something that we should have on the agenda maybe every 3 months, quarterly, just to see where we're at for updates. Thank you.
Councillor Foster.
Yes, I just have just one quick little observation and a quick question. It still makes reference to the 2024 World Acadian Congress, which is now in the past. But in the same sentence or paragraph, it says, and other tourism-related initiatives. So I think we could maybe future Acadian Congresses, but it's going to be a while before they come back around to this part of Nova Scotia. And my other question, I'm very interested in a project that's taking place as we speak in Councillor Madden's district. He seems to be getting a lot of, it's a happening place, and there's a lot of development in Councillor Madden's district, and that's the extension of the Hatfield Court here for commercial purposes and residential opportunities, or maybe low-income housing or low rental. I'm not sure of the nature of the housing project. I'd like just a little more information on that. And as you guys are all aware around here, the project has hit a little bit of a snag. They've gone 500 meters into the woods and have had to stop because they struck water. They struck water, which is probably a wetland or part of a wetland. So instead of being 580 meters, we're probably going to have to stop at 500. So instead of having, let's say, 25 house lots, it's going to be reduced to 17 or so. So I'd like a little more information on the commercial nature of development that could take place there, or if it's all earmarked for residential housing. Thank you.
CEO Ouellet.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Excellent question. I think that some of this still relies on some final decisions from council around the possibility of rezoning that location. So right now it's under the mixed use zone, which means that either commercial or residential could go in that area. We are currently working with WSP to determine what does the zone look like, and of course that will come to you for approval. I will say that fundamentally it makes sense that it, and I've jokingly called it the mullet development, because it's business in the front and party in the back. And so that's just a joyful way of saying that we already see experience of commercial growth. We've already seen it with the new accounting firm that was constructed there almost immediately after we put in half the road anyway. And we did have some commercial requests, and most of which are at the front end of that development. I would say that there will absolutely be lots that are earmarked precisely for residential and residential only. I can't tell you what that looks like today. It's currently being developed. But yes, and keep in mind, in a mixed-use zone, and in this case, I don't think it would be any different. It's not industrial use; it's commercial use. So the difference between that is a heavy industry or an industry might be the production or fabrication of something. That usually comes with more nuisances generally than does commercial. So, you know, an illustration of a commercial business might be a dentist office, which ironically has recently been announced at another location, again in Councillor Madden's district. Yeah, we may be able to throw a rock and hit that location. It's very, very close. So I think that it seems pretty obvious, and there are other developments going on here with the Tim Hortons and the Orange store. There's other things going on. So it does look like the commercial will be more around the main. We have to be mindful of traffic and other considerations when we make these decisions. And this is long game, right? I mean, I'm a how's the expression? Joyful is the community where a man plants a tree that he will never see grow. And this could be one of those situations where we've set up something for the future. It is absolutely 100% intentional on trying to get residential, especially like multi-unit residential buildings, more of those types where it's like lower, maybe not affordable, but maybe not to the definition of affordable, but certainly more affordable housing, alternative housing. We don't have a lot of rental stock in Argyle. We have a lot of aging seniors that are stuck, for lack of a better term, in their home. That can be turned into a family home rather easily, but they don't have another place to go within the community. So we're actively trying to work that out, and you will see very soon what the plan around those lots will look like, and you will influence that plan. Welcome.
Okay, so we can move to, do we have to vote on this motion? Okay. Didn't you just vote on this?
Nope, I moved it. It was seconded by Counselor Bork, and then there was discussion.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we will move to 13E, appointment of investigators. It's for the Code of Conduct. It's been mandated by the province that everybody appoint an investigator. And there's a suggested motion here, move that Burchell McDougall Lawyers LLP be appointed as a third-party investigator for the Municipality of Argyle for complaints under the Code of Conduct legislation, Section 520 of the Municipality Government Act. It is moved by Councillor LeBlanc. Seconded by Councillor Madden. Any questions? All in, sorry. Madden?
So I'm not 100% sure here. Are we into the new code of conduct yet? Or, like, I know we've had a lot of complaints lately. So do those complaints go under the former legislation or the new legislation?
I can answer that if you wish.
CEO.
Okay, through you. The complaint, so the answer to your question is the complaints, the Code of Conduct legislation as mandated by the province of Nova Scotia was approved by council in December of 2024. So we are mandated to follow it, and I believe that the regulations for that are effective April 1st in the act. The complaints that we received were not under that act. They were under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. So they don't follow precisely the same process as what we're talking about here. That being said, it's still a complaint under an act that has to be addressed. It's just not going to be addressed precisely the same way as what the Code of Conduct complaints would mandate us to do. In this instance, the mandate under the act is the new act, and it doesn't. I don't think it matters when the issue occurred. It matters when the complaint was submitted. So if there was a complaint under the Code of Conduct now, it would go under the new legislation, even if it may have happened before December. Does that answer the question?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So are we under the new rules or no?
No.
Yeah,
Under the Code of Conduct.
Under the Code of Conduct.
Under the Code of Conduct, if
We
we
are.
receive a complaint today, it will go under the new rules. We did receive complaints after December 2024. However, they were not under the Code of Conduct Act. They were under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. And there would be a separate process. There isn't a new Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. There is a new Code of Conduct legislation. So I understand that there's a lot of moving parts here, and it might be a little confusing. But a complaint is still a legitimate complaint regardless of which act it is under. It's just you may not recognize the process as exactly the one that you read in a recent Code of Conduct course, which I encourage you all to do by the 30th of April. Thank you very much. I think I'm hopeful that that answers your question.
Okay.
Warden Albright.
Thank you. I guess my question is for the CAO. So you said that we've had some complaints, and the complaints are going to be investigated by by this investigator? Sorry.
The person that's going to do that the investigation for those complaints has not been determined as of yet.
Okay, so it's
So-
not necessarily this
It
investigator?
may or may not be that investigator.
Okay,
It could be the same one. The fact that the person is independent, that we've done independent checks, that we've done conflict of interest checks with this solicitor, all indications are that they have no connection with Argyle whatsoever. We've never actually engaged this firm for anything in 19 years at least. So yeah, it's entirely possible that he could conduct, I say he, because the partner is a he, could conduct an investigation with those complaints. It could be him. It's just not going to follow the same process as the code of conduct legislation that you have been learning about.
okay.
So it could be the same person, it just hasn't been determined just yet. We're looking at a couple of things. We want to make sure that you're properly informed before a decision is made. A decision will be brought to you to make on that.
Because that was kind of, I'm glad Councillor Madden asked the question, because I was kind of understanding that it was code of conduct as well. But what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is that it's conflict of interest, so the process is different. But
Yeah,
will,
two different acts.
will we get information about the process? Because I'm not sure
100%.
okay.
That's why I'm saying as soon as we have that package, that'll go to
Okay.
council. I would think a motion would be in order to establish what the process would be to respond to these complaints. I am in receipt of 4 complaints, but they're all the same.
The same.
Issue, like the same requests.
Yeah.
So it's just the concerns are from more than one person, right? So there's more than one complaint.
So we don't know the cost yet of what that would be?
No, absolutely no, no. And again, that will be part of, once we pull that information together for you, that will be part of a decision you'll make.
Thank you.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you very much. Code of conduct, first time I heard about it, I think. But anyway, so this was something that the provincial government wants the municipalities and towns of Nova Scotia to have. Financial considerations here, I'm just looking for the firm that we may be voting on here this evening. Hourly rate shall be $275 per hour, $1,500 daily, and $1,500 for the completion of a report. Cost per complaint would be on a case-by-case basis. So needless to say, any complaint could become quite costly to this municipality. Am I right by saying that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. I have no information from the province that says that they're going to be funding any of this. So this is essentially a downloading of, I hate to use the word downloading because the legislation was done in collaboration with the
right.
provincial and municipal government. So some of this was municipal councillors saying, you know, we're really having trouble with certain behaviors of certain individuals, of course, none of which are in this room, of course.
Could be.
Well, it wasn't about us. Let me just say, it wasn't about us. This has been going on for quite a few years about, you know, there had been some relationship issues amongst councillors, and there's been other issues associated with code of conduct, treatment of staff, treatment of council, et cetera. So the legislation was collaborative. We did it together, right? So, and the province supported that, and it's taken, I don't know, maybe 5 years or more before all of this has been from start to finish. I know that Mayor Pam Mood was an instrumental piece to bringing this to the end. In terms of cost, today, I would say that the cost has to be absorbed by the municipality. That could change. Today, I don't have information that says the province will be reimbursing in any way. So this is going to be a cost to the municipality.
Okay, and the person that, or persons that are making this complaint, their names shall remain anonymous?
I have absolutely, yeah, I would, well, first of all, the complaints aren't under this legislation, just so that we're clear. And secondly, yes, I don't think that information is made public.
No, and I'm talking about these complaints here, or a complaint
Either
going forward.
Either, I think in either way, there is protection of privacy to the complainant, regardless of which legislation we're talking about here. I think under code of conduct, there's privacy rules around that. And there's also, I think the discussion in a lot of ways has to be done independent. And then when it comes back to council, they have a decision to make based on the results of that investigation. And even that has certain privacy and protection around if the complainant is in the room or if the person receiving the complaint is in the room. So they will not be asked to participate in that process. So there's all sorts of rules and regulations around that. But I don't believe that the name of the complainant is listed.
Yeah, and I guess really, you know, I guess what I'm looking at is because of a few problems or issues that they've had in the past, we are all gonna be subject now to these new rules and code conduct going forward. And I'm glad you brought it out about the freedom of, you know, information and protection of privacy. But it's a funny thing how somebody can possibly make a complaint about me. They can possibly go around the community, talk about it, but I'll be not allowed to talk about it, about who, you know, made that complaint. I just find it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that stuff. That's the trouble that I have with this, you know, there's no saying I don't. Having said, by all means, I'm gonna definitely support this motion, because it's just, you know, of deciding who we're gonna get possibly to represent and do the work, I guess, it's not represent, but more so do the work on our behalf if a complaint comes forward. But, yeah, and about the 30th, what are we today, 24? I might.
You got 6, 7
yeah.
days. Just through you, Mr. Chair, just on that, I mean, you did ask a question about the privacy issues around the complainant. I will double check that information for you. I'm 93% sure of that's true, but I will make that inquiry of the province.
Yeah, amazing how that works, though. People can talk about counselors or complain against counselors and that, and, you know, they have a right to, whether, even if it's a frivolous complaint. But if we talk back to them or say something, it can be, oh no, that's against your code of conduct. Amazing how that works. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a mover for a investigator? Did we make that motion?
I think it was moved and seconded.
Was it moved and
I
seconded?
thought, yeah,
Okay.
that's why I asked.
Sorry.
Okay, so any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, so our next one is 13F, adoption of auditor's report, and I believe we've deferred that pending passing of our budget.
Yes, we've through you, we've deferred it pending the finalization of the auditor's report, which is typically in September. Why do we do it? It's kind of a tradition to put these things on an annual meeting. Many of you have experiences with nonprofits that they only really pass their financial statements at an annual meeting. So this is kind of an old habit. It's probably not a good one, but we like to defer it. We like to say that we will be making this, we're deferring the decision to a non-annual meeting, okay? It sounds a little ridiculous, but that's what it is.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be corrected later about it.
So, okay, so we'll move to to G, which is youth wellness report. They're requesting that a council member be a committee member. Do we have a volunteer, I guess?
I would love to, but it's the hours that they meet that are not convenient for my work. 9, I believe, till noon. That's what's hard for me.
Monthly, bi-monthly?
I think they said in the beginning it was going to be, I'm trying to find my notes on that. It was going to be quite regularly in the beginning until they get established.
So we have more information?
Yeah, she did give us,
Monthly, 9:30 to noon.
okay, that makes sense. Monthly, 9:30 to.
Do they mention which day of the week?
No, but I do have that it starts in September, like they would start meeting in September, because I know they have some work to do ahead. And it's online. I have that in my notes. But I don't have a specific day written down.
I don't think they indicated today. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I also have September, in terms of reference, can be shared.
Right.
I'm on a few committees right now, I'd rather not at this point, but
I've got 3 committees now that are at those times.
yeah, same.
I mean, oh,
Warden
I know, it's
Albright.
weird. Yes, that's what I was just going to say. Maybe we can defer this one and even give us a little bit more time to think about it. I know, everybody's kind of getting ramped up in their committees as well and figuring out their own schedules. So it's not necessarily until September. So maybe if we even defer till the next meeting, give us a little bit more time to think about it.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I think we defer, yeah.
Need a motion for that, or?
Yeah, I would say. Sorry, I'm not the chair. I need to stop.
Councilor LeBlanc. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I'd make that motion that we defer the Youth Wellness Network request for a committee member to our next regular council meeting.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Warden Albright. So any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I know we kind of broke protocol here a little bit because we left like a motion hanging out there like a shingle. But, I think that the whole purpose was to make sure that the information was gathered before a vote could be made. So the Federation membership fee for an annual fee is $2,681. And the NSFM fee, this was actually for 15 months because there was a proration. They changed the way that the billings worked. So this amount is for 15 months at $6,205. I know that the fees were up slightly from last year, but not considerably. The exception, of course, is the whole prorating thing, right? Because last year's bill would have been a lot less, but it was only for 12 months.
So what's the total again?
Again, the Nova Scotia NSFM membership, $6,205 for 15 months. And the FCM membership was $2,681, and that's for 12 months.
Was there a motion on the floor for this?
There was, but the question was asked, like, why wasn't the fee included? The motion can be amended, even if it was still out there as a shingle. We can probably, go back and amend that motion if that's the will of council to include those costs in it. And it can be part and parcel of the documented motion. But that would be up to the mover and the seconder if that was their will. I don't know who moved and seconded. Technically, we probably should have, maybe denied that one and then come back to it perhaps, but it's okay. We're good. Daryl was the mover and Nicole was the seconder. Thanks for the question.
So Councilor
Warden.
LeBlanc. Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you. So I would make that amendment in regards to my motion, that I would include the costs of $6,205 for 15 months to the NSFM and the $2,681 for 12 months to the FCM.
FCM.
Thank you.
And I would still second that amended motion.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay, so 13H, Argyle ADA Project, Councilor Madden. And there's an attachment.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Saunier, councilors, Warden. Thank you for this opportunity. I know this is a difficult subject, but we have to deal with it. And Councillor Foster, if you want to take some part of my district, there's one for you. Anyhow, the object of this, for discussion is to try to bring the concerns of all involved, which is us and our residents, to a close. The residents did not get their town hall meeting. For some reason, I don't know why. I'm going to try to give them sort of a town hall meeting tonight. So you have the questions there, and many of you were here from the start, or some of you were here from the start, and some of you weren't. So my first question is how and by who was the agriculture project introduced to the municipality? And how was it presented to council?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to do my best to answer these questions because I think I might be the one that's been here the longest and was probably deeply involved. However, what I will answer, but there may be some other things that other councillors have recollection of that I may have missed. So I just want to go through it. So I have done some research. And first of all, Councillor Madden, thank you very much for sending these questions in advance because it allowed me to do some research.
Of course.
And so this would have started, it's hard to know who started this, but I can talk about how it started. It started with the staff received a presentation from the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture on January 20th, 2015. So that's 10 years ago and a couple months. The presentation was providing general information on some regulatory changes coming to aquaculture. So there has been regulatory changes that have nothing to do with ADA. There have been quite a few regulatory changes for aquaculture. So I think that in that meeting, I know that the conversation moved about how the issue of the length of time that the sea farmers were facing in the oyster business application side was raised at that time. It may have been earlier than that. Certainly, there might have been some informal conversations about it before that. But it was certainly talked about with staff at that point. And there were, at that point, conversations about how can the process improve for the sea farmers. So this was a question that we asked the province because the province is the regulator. On August 2015, so that would 6-7 months later, obviously there were other discussions that were had informally around this. Warden Aldrich Dontermo at the time was selected for a pan-Atlantic aquaculture mission to Norway. And I think this was probably sparked by the questions that were being asked around whether these regulatory changes can be looked at more positively with the interest of reducing the amount of time that a sea farmer would have to apply for a lease. So at this time, it was taking 6 or 7 years or maybe more. In April 25th of 2017, so that's 2 years, almost 2 years from that time. And again, there may have been a lot of conversations informal around this. I suspect there were discussions back and forth, but no real, talk, right? It was talk. April 25th, 2017, Buktush Bay made a presentation to council. Buktush Bay is the producer of the oyster grow cage, the cage that you might have noticed, usually black in color, and is a cage that they can flip so that the disease or anything growing on the cages can be removed rather easily. So this technology was, I don't know if it was new at the time, but I'm not sure, it's certainly not new anymore because there's more technology out there now. But they made a presentation to council and they presented this oyster grow, which is that, and also the projections and the spreadsheets that they were producing to assist farmers. So what they were doing is they were saying, this is, if you buy this many, this is what your return on investment might be. So they had information to support the business. And at that presentation, they noted that we had a lot of assets here, but not a lot of aquaculture. That's a summary of what Buktush Bay presented to council at that time. The June 2018, the FCM was held in Halifax that year. Some of you may have attended that. Myself and the warden were in attendance to that, but while we were at that conference, Minister Caldwell invited us to have a conversation with him. And the topic was reducing application time with oyster farmers and how he was intrigued by this concept. As it relates to what we now know as ADA, they had that as potential legislative change in their books since late 1990s. So the concept of pre-assessed sites is a concept that the province of Nova Scotia created, and I believe the year was 99. It may have been early 2000s. It was created, but it was shelved because they never actually executed that particular project, perhaps because they didn't have anyone, any municipality that asked the question that might spark that, right? On January 14th, 2020, there was a presentation where an MOU for the ADA, and that's where I think the project ADA really came about, was presented to council between the province and the MOU was between the province of Nova Scotia and the Municipality of Argyle. The motion was made unanimously. It's clear in the minutes that the regulations will remain provincial, and an MOU is not a legal document. It's not an enforceable document. It's like an agreement. It's a memorandum of understanding. So at that time, that was when that was signed. I believe that's where December 8th, 2020 would have been, sorry, January 14th, 2020 would have been the time where the official decision of council was, yes, we are going to assist you, province, in this endeavor, and these are the things that we're going to do, and they're all listed in the MOU. So council at that point would have made a decision in that effect. Prior to that, it would have been presentations and conversations, but no motion that I could find. December 8th, there was a presentation made, and this would have been during COVID time, so that would have been a Teams presentation that was done by Charlene and Alex on the business park of the sea concept. And you may have heard that concept that was coined by us as something that, and the reason why it was coined thusly is because the municipalities are invested and have created business parks on land. And so this was like another way of looking at how business can be fostered. No reference to Councillor Foster there. And so that happened in December 2020. And so I'm looking at all the stats here around how it was introduced. I know that there were informal conversations with sea farmers as well that indicated that there may be some opportunity to increase the development in our waters as it relates to oyster development, not finfish. So I think that, Councillor, is how it was introduced to the municipality and how it was presented to council. Once the MOU happened, there was a lot of work that was done by the staff of both the province and the municipality to develop stakeholder committees. There were different committees that were set up during the course of time. Some of them had our stakeholder committee, and others were committees that the province created that were more scientific related, right? So the scientists got together to take a look at things, as well as the stakeholder committee, which the stakeholder committee report would have been our doing, and it would have been something that the only committee that we had really direct attachment to or direct, like essentially we were the ones trying to set the meetings, right, was the stakeholder committee meeting. The others meetings were done by CMAR and other science-related organizations, and we would have been invited as the municipality as a member, but we didn't really have any voting say. It was more advisory. So that's a long answer to question one, Councillor.
Yeah, for sure. But it sort of clears up some and brings more questions, and I don't know if I'm doing it justice or not. But I'm just going to move on. Sure. Unless somebody else wants to add to that report that we're here, councillors that were here, no?
A very quick question. Was the MAU approved unanimously by all councillors?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And this was on January 20th, 2020?
Correct.
Thank you.
Moving on, thank you. So a lot of that you read, there's potential growth to the municipality. And so what evidence is there to back up the claim of potential growth to the municipality?
Thank you for the question. Some of this I actually referred to the province because they would have better data on their regulated industry. And I'm going to read what they responded, because I think they're in a better position to answer questions around growth in the industry that they know more than we do. And so it's written, there are currently several viable oyster aquaculture operations in Argyle that provide year-round direct employment for multiple people in the community. Those businesses also support many local suppliers of goods and services. In a recent ADA call for proposals, 14 proposals were submitted by 9 separate proponents, all wanting to invest in oyster farming, or I guess...
Can I really, that's what you, excuse me, but the reason for having this discussion was to counsel. And I find that anything for the province is sent is a letter and no face, and you can't ask that letter questions. I haven't seen a provincial, other than Bruce Hancock here, and his partner, I forget his name, but it's a letter that you're giving me here, and I can't ask that letter questions or rebuttal.
We can arrange for the province to...
I'm asking council what your evidence of growth.
Well, I'm not a councillor, so you'll have to ask council.
So,
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you very much. I feel as though you've asked the question, there was an answer given. It may not be from the source of council as a councillor, but I personally would like to hear the rest of what the answer was going to be for that question you asked.
fair enough.
Thank you.
Who's going to finish the? Will you finish the answer?
That's up to the chair.
That's,
What is that?
can you finish the answer?
Sure.
I'm good?
Yep.
In the recent ADA call for proposals, I'm just repeating the last sentence here, 14 proposals were submitted by 9 separate proponents, all wanting to invest in oyster farming in the community. If the proposals received are approved through the licensing process, the combined increased production will be worth approximately $7.9 million per year and generate approximately 10 full-time jobs. An economic impact study on the aquaculture industry in Nova Scotia was completed for the department in 2019. The report concluded that in 2017, which was the year studied, the industry's contribution to provincial GDP was over $87 million. I believe that number includes finfish, so forgive me, that number is an all-in number for that, and an increase of total household income of over $39 million. The report also concluded that given the fact that the industry is a rural industry, its impact is more significant for the economic maintenance of communities in rural Nova Scotia. And that was what the province provided me as I thought their evidence to back up this stuff is far more credible than any evidence that I would have.
Okay, anybody else want to add on?
Warden Albright.
Thank you. So I'm going to throw a question back to you, Councillor Madden. I'd like you to help me understand. So you're a business owner in the community. In the community where there's been an oyster farm for decades, have you, as a business owner, seen any gain, any growth to your business because of that business, because of the oyster farm?
The answer to that is hard because my business runs up and down. It's
So in terms of gas
co-
sales?
Construction gas sales. Gas sales when Mr. Dion or Dion's Oyster Farm probably was in the range of $20,000 fuel sales a year,
Okay.
which is about $1,000 profit less, well, expenses. So you have staff and all that stuff. So gas sales is like, it's not a big deal.
Mechanical?
Some fabrication.
Okay.
Some work.
So do you
But-
feel that, the oyster farm gave you kind of, did you feel that the contribution was significant to your business?
So I'm going to refer you to mink farming. That came. That was a part of my business as well, and that went. You just do what you have to do to keep going.
Can you tell me
As far as the oyster farm giving me a lot of business to keep me operating, I can't say that it would
Okay.
impact me. More growth will not impact me more.
Okay. I do have actually, so when we're talking locally about growth and how this can improve, how this can help expand our
And that's the question.
Yes, I have a letter actually from Tuscan Sales and Service, from Marcel Pache. It says, "To whom it may concern, as a business owner in the municipality of the District of Argyle, I am writing this letter to emphasize the importance of responsible and sustainable economic development in our community. We can attest to the financial benefit that we have received over the years as a result of the activities of the local oyster farmers and regulated businesses. These businesses require many vehicles to operate, which must also be serviced and maintained, and we have been fortunate to be able to provide that service. While the local aquaculture industry is certainly smaller in scale than other fishing industries, its contribution cannot be discounted and has been a factor in the success of our business and our 70 employees over the past 20 years. Please understand that I do not consider this letter as an endorsement of any position in the current disagreement with respect to the ADA process. It is, however, my sincerest hope that the matter can be satisfactorily resolved for all parties without sacrificing the well-established economic benefits that the aquaculture industry has provided for the region." Signed by Marcel Pache. So that's local.
And thank you, because in this exercise is,
We need to know.
need to know. And so your question to me was my business, it wasn't give or take.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Yep, thank you. I'd like to make a point, because when I looked at the agenda here regarding this, and I looked at question number 2, question number 2 is it's one of those questions where you cannot say, let's take this business and you tell me what this is going to do to the community and how it's going to have an economic impact or whatever impact to the community. What it does do, though, is that business, just like Councillor Madden's business, just like anybody else's business that is located in the municipality, is a group of businesses that all produce economic impact, and it produces a community, and it's a reason why people come here, such as doctors, such as lawyers, such as dentists, to set up their operation and operate. Look, I mean, I work at the credit union. I'm a banker. What I do know is that every single business that operates, whether it is a small mom and pop operation, whether it's the lady that has a craft store that is knitting hats and mittens, or whether it's Tuscan Ford or Little Chevrolet or whoever else, they all contribute to the growth of the community, and they are all very important to the growth of the community. Question number 2, in regards to this, it's one of those questions it's so open that if you're looking for a specific answer in regards to it, you're not going to get it. What I will say is what I just said. Every single business contributes to the development and the growth of a community, and they're all important. Thank you.
If I may. One more thing.
Or no, but
I know one of the questions that's been asked of me as well before that was my district was if we had done an economic feasibility study. And I told constituents that we had not, which is where I think maybe this question may be coming from. But I think about, well, an economic feasibility study is usually done after something comes in and then you can compare. But I'm just throwing this out there to council. So remember when we decided to contribute to the Congrès Mondial? There was no economic feasibility study done then, and we contributed a significant amount of money because we knew that we would reap benefits. Did we have a specific number? We did not, but we knew it was going to happen. So if they had asked me, what's the evidence? I couldn't have provided any then either. But would we have denied it because we didn't have evidence? So I just wanted to make that point as well, is that usually that study is done afterwards. Am I correct in saying that, or am I totally off the mark? Usually it's done after, which is what I did have a conversation with one of the residents about. But it's usually done once something has happened, and then you can compare. This is what came in. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Nobody wants to add to that one? Again, some of these questions come from my concerned citizens. So, was municipal staff used to research and prepare the 93-page public consultation report?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I almost went without you saying, thank you. The answer is that WSP was engaged to prepare the public consultation report, so the
Excuse
third.
me, what that acronym?
That's the name of their company, WSP. I don't know what it means.
Oh,
It's our planning organization that also does public engagement. They do planning, they do public engagement. They're a consultant. They're a consulting firm. That's the
Consulting
name.
firm, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so they would have prepared a draft based on their, they would have led a lot of they would have led some of the engagement that occurred towards the end, which would have been the public engagement sessions in Glenwood and the pop-up sessions, and they summarized all the other stakeholder conversations that would have had. So they led the preparation. I will say that staff was heavily leaned on for information on this, so if they were off the mark, or if they didn't, if they weren't particular enough about an issue, staff was involved in amending that final version. Absolutely.
if I may add, WSP, Councilor Madden, is one of the world's leading professional service firms uniting our engineering and advisory science-based expertise to make positive impact. They're global. I think they originated in Britain.
I didn't know that.
So staff wasn't used then?
Staff would have informed the report because much of the information that came out of it included the stakeholder conversations, of which I know I was personally involved with quite a few, encounters with fishermen who saw draft ADA pre-assessed sites and made comments around whether they made sense to their fishing stock and where they would traditionally fish. So a lot of that information would have been obtained through staff, but the report was penned by them.
So that's the report itself. So the research,
I don't know
the
what you
research
mean.
portion, like, I know on some of that report that the Charlene Alec was involved in doing water sampling or,
Yes, but I don't think that, is that in that report? I don't know if it's in the stakeholder report. Certainly they did that. I know that.
okay, well, that was the intent here. I guess I might have worded it wrong.
Okay,
But
yes, they,
basically, what
Okay, I see
resource
what
of the municipality was used
Yeah.
to
yeah.
do the research for the aquaculture.
Right, so that, if I hear your question correctly, that's in reference to the initial testing that occurred early on.
And that's why I call it research testing, I guess.
Cool,
Yeah.
understood 100%, Counselor. So well, there's multiple people that would have been involved in testing. I know that we had a device, a testing device that we procured as well. And I know that Alex and Charlene were both involved in going out and actually going out in boats that they rented in order to do pH and salinity tests. Those were very preliminary tests. I also know that the Université Saint-Anne scientists were engaged alongside them to collect initial data. Now, when I say that, I don't mean the comprehensive study that the province did after that. So there were some preliminary tests that were done by, and literally that's like taking the water and putting it on a machine and seeing how much salinity there is. But there were far greater testing that was done by the provincial government subsequent to that. So those initial site testings were done by staff and in collaboration with Université Saint-Anne where appropriate, is the best answer I can give you there. I can get more detailed data on that.
No, I think what the residents are seeing here is that staff, and I think this was raised by the FOIPOP fees, that staff was used here to do something outside from their regular work that would have taken them away from what they were supposed to do. And they're looking at it that way, so.
Yeah, I would correct that statement by saying that they were doing precisely what council informed them to do. So this work may have been something unusual where you don't see every day staff from the municipality put their boots on, get in a boat, and do tests. I agree that can be seen as unusual or different. I would say that it was exactly why we appreciated what Charlene and Alex did, because what they did was, by doing that, they were able to give or provide information to the province on their project in a way that was more efficient, perhaps. It was also a very big learning experience for them, because then they were able to see for themselves. They could touch it, they could feel it, they could smell it. And so the MOU said precisely that we should be helping on this project. It certainly didn't say, put your boots on and get in a boat. It didn't say that. But I admire the courage and the directness upon which Ms. LeBlanc managed to do this. And is it peculiar? Yes. Was it effective? I believe it was.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you very much. You were saying outside of their scope of work or line of work, but was Charlene not our community development officer around that time?
Yes, and yes, and part of her tasking was to address what the MOU said around the ADA. So council endorsed the work around ADA. How it was done, that's typically what happens in these situations. Council says, we'd like to see this. They talk about the what, and then the staff looks at the how. How is it that we can actually do this? There are many ways that both of those individuals could have approached this. I admire the passion that they displayed in this case. It wasn't outside of their scope of work. You could argue, however, that, if somebody didn't like this project and they would have preferred them to work on another project, well, you certainly can make an argument that time is spent in the way that they would prefer it not be. But at the end of the day, council was very clear that they wanted this work to be done. How That's another question.
If I may, just as a follow-up, the only thing I'm looking at though, community development officer, that does not necessarily mean it has to be on land when we have that many bodies of water around us.
No, and I mean, if we want to look at the traditional definition of community development officer, it's not economic development officer. So community development often does things for nonprofit organizations traditionally. It doesn't mean that they don't dabble in economic development, but it does mean what you know, her task among many, this one among many, was also, you know, meeting with the Western Ren, understanding the economic drivers that they're working on and having those kinds of communications. Charlene led, I don't know how many applications on accessibility for nonprofit community halls, et cetera. I think that's more traditional. That's more of a traditional community development officer in their work. But this was certainly added to her task list. That is clear, that this was added.
Just one more, if I may. Sure. But at the same time, having said that, whether you call it an economic development officer or community development officer, if you're driving your economics, you're also in turn, like Councillor LeBlanc said, driving your community or communities, I'd say.
Yeah, I only speak to the traditional
Yeah,
definition,
yeah.
and honestly, it's such a wide
Yeah,
task, right?
Yeah,
It can mean so many different things.
yeah, no, thank you.
Nobody else? All right, so funding. I'm asked where the funding came for all of this. So I may have missed some here. I put some there, just out of the top of my head. The Agriculture Association, farmers, provincial government, other.
Yeah.
I know we were, for some reason, part of the Aquaculture Association or members.
We were.
Which I'm being questioned on that as well, so while it's there.
Okay. So if I hear the question, there's two parts. One is the membership on the Aquaculture Association, and the other is, did we receive funding from outside sources to finance the aquaculture project? The answer to the financing is yes. We did receive financing of $23,000 from the Department of Aquaculture, Fisheries and Aquaculture in 2017. The purpose of which was to purchase and provide equipment for testing. So where we were referring to the staff being used to research and do testing, we would have utilized that grant money to purchase a monitoring piece of equipment, for lack of the actual right word, in or around $9,000 it cost. And we engaged Université Saint-Anne on numerous occasions to assist on that. That cost was, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, I believe. If
So
my
you paid for this?
we paid for that using the funds that the Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries provided.
Okay.
That's the only amount of money that we would have received from any of those associations. Aquaculture Association is zero. Farmers is zero, and there's no other funder. So the remaining funding, I guess, or investment would have been time served internally. So it would have been municipal investment of time and energy. It's hard to split that hair because this was one of many projects that the community development officer undertook. But yeah, so that's the extent of the funding, and it was one purpose and one purpose only. Insofar as the membership to the Aquaculture Association, I think the membership was paid for 3 years, and it was $250 a year. And the purpose of being a member of the Aquaculture Association was to receive information around aquaculture generally, whether it was oyster, fin farm, or whatever. Aquaculture Association of Nova Scotia is an advocacy group. They advocate for aquaculture business. I compare it to the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce. So we are a member of the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce. We pay a bit more membership. I can't recall exactly how much, but it's close to that number. And it is purposeful because we want to know what's going on with businesses in the area. I will say that some may not like that decision, and I respect that. I would say that the Aquaculture Association had zero to do with the regulatory framework in place. So the province was the regulator. The Aquaculture Association is always pushing the province to do things maybe, faster, different, to support business, no different than the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce might do. And so we, being a member of that, would receive information, a lot of emails actually, on like, when's the conference, what's this, what are the regulatory changes? And so that was the purpose upon which we paid for that membership. And it was, I think the last year that we paid for it was in 2022.
So if there's no, can I add something there? So coming back to the farmers, they receive all this information and all this, well, information, I guess, at no cost. Like if a firm is going to charge them for any information for their, lack of word, doing better in business, an accountant, anything. So the farmers get no bill for this?
If the farmers were members of the Aquaculture Association, they would have paid a membership fee there.
$250 like we did?
I don't think it would be any different, no.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, like, I'm just trying to phrase it the right way. So all this information has been provided, and there's a lot of information here, provided to the aquaculture farmers at no cost.
Right.
Okay.
That would be correct. Any information that we would have shared with farmers or anyone for that matter would not have been billed for that. Same as we wouldn't have billed Twin Village Social Club to do an application for funding or any of those things. We would not have billed for that service. It is part and parcel of the position, and so, yeah, they didn't pay any money to the province either, to the best of my knowledge, for information, because they're the regulators and they provide that information. I don't think that information was a cost to the farmer.
Again, a question I get.
Councillor Digdon.
I don't know how you could bill the farmers, as you're saying, or the people that already have their sites developed, because if you're billing them, I would almost think that could be, this here was for potential new leases going out and new sites. So I think if you had somebody, one of the established sites putting money into it, that could almost be a conflict, I'd say. But being as though we took no money from them, and it was for new potential sites, it was for everyone. That's.
I guess I'm saying if I have a business and I was going to hire a firm to see my expansion to another town or to another village, I'm going to have to pay for that study.
But I don't think any business and hired the municipality and that to look at expansion.
Again, I'm just giving examples of how I look at business and how people are questioning.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Madden, I did say something that I may not be sure that I know, and it's there is things that the provincial government may have been asked to do specifically for a farmer that there may have been a fee charged by the province. I'm just unaware of it.
Yeah.
So there may be some things, this or any other thing associated with that department that they may have charged for. If it's specific to, I think generally speaking, what happens if it's specific to a business, there might be a fee, but if it's specific to industry, there's unlikely to be one. I can't comment on what that looks like between the sea farmer and the province. I can just tell you that we didn't charge.
And this is what this exercise is for the council,
Very good,
their response and
very good.
what they knew, what they acted upon. I think the last question, the financial gain to the taxpayers, we probably went over that with potential growth, but if somebody wants to add add to that, since it's there? So what would be the financial gain to our taxpayers? What can the taxpayers see as a reduction in rate because the growth is so tremendous that, like the windmills? I can compare this to windmills because I can see 900 and some odd $1,000 coming in, and that's going to be potential tax deduction maybe, or potential growth, or we can spend that money. I don't know, where's the,
Warden Albright.
Thank you. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about, kind of, to me, this is similar to number two,
yeah,
the
I
growth.
agree.
Financial gain to the taxpayer, because I've had this question come to me as well. They said, are the oyster farms paying any taxes? No, they're not. The windmills, yes, we'll get taxation revenue from the windmills. I've heard Councillor Madden say before, the municipality, one of the ways that we make money is through taxes, and that's definitely true for sure. However, financial gain doesn't always come just through taxes. So I'm thinking of fishermen. Fishermen themselves pay taxes, they buy houses, whatever. However, their boats, they don't pay any taxes on their boats. So if we look at it that way, fishermen, in terms of the boats, we're not getting any financial gain there. However, taxpayers are getting financial gain through businesses, through buying vehicles, buying gas, buying groceries, building houses, and then in turn, we do get taxation revenue because houses are built. The oyster industry, we do have a few farms right now. It's not huge yet, and I say yet, in our municipality. But that was kind of our idea, was to grow this industry, and that's something I've said over and over and over again. The reason why we decided to support the province the ways that we did was because we were excited about the thoughts of having a new industry and how that could come and grow our municipality, because we all know fishing, we don't know how long fishing will last. The other thing that is hard to quantify is the fact that do we only do things because of financial gain to our taxpayers? I'm thinking about the Mariner Centre expansion. Are we going to get any financial gain for taxpayers on that? Nope. We're actually going to pay. It's a service we provide them. And we provide the service to grow our area. And growing our area means hopefully bringing in doctors who will hopefully build houses, who will hopefully go to gas stations, who will hopefully go to restaurants. And that is how we grow and we gain financially. I think about the airport. Do we get any financial taxation for their residents? We do not. But it's a service we provide. So I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around. I know that some residents are upset about the ADA. We've heard a thing or two about it. I kind of want to say, we didn't go into this thinking, how can we stiff our residents? How can we make them very angry? We went into this, and I feel, and it was unanimous. Everything we talked about when it came to ADA was unanimous. We saw potential, and I was thinking, I remember when that presentation was made by Book Tush, when they came with the cages, when they came and showed us, because we didn't know a whole lot about the industry. As council, I'm speaking for myself. I didn't know a lot about aquaculture. But from there it grew. So from there, we were able to go visit our aquaculture farms. And we were blown away. We were blown away at the responsibility, how effective it was, how it was working. It was very sustainable. And it kind of, I think, sparked a fire in us and thought, maybe this is something we can grow. And so I feel like that is the reason we jumped on this. I still feel we made the right decision. And I think that if we can grow this industry in our municipality, because we have an oyster farm right now that is extremely successful, that cannot keep up with demand, that has won international awards, that's something we should be really proud about, and we should be celebrating, and we should be promoting. But it feels like this has brought a cloud over it all, and it's diminishing that. And that is really hard for me as a counselor. Because to sit at this table and not want to grow our area, I wouldn't want to sit at this table if we're going to stay the same. So that's what I have to say.
Theo Muse.
I don't know that I can say much different. The only thing I will say is Warden is correct that there are developments that don't generate property taxes directly, right? Directly, that's the key word. And it's hard to know what will actually happen, you know, and in some cases, they may develop commercial and in some cases, somebody might move in that didn't move in before, we don't know. One thing is for sure, though, there is a big difference between that and the wind turbine project, which has upwards of $700,000 a year in taxation revenue, which will definitely benefit the taxpayers because it will go against the cost of service. So there is a clear difference here. There is a clear difference. One is very, very clear, and one of them is less touchy-feely, if you permit me to say that. So I get it. I get that. With the costs going as high as they're going in all sorts of different services, I certainly wouldn't say anything about the tax rate going down based on that revenue coming in. In fact, you know, thank God that those revenues are coming in, because what we're seeing at the municipality in terms of cost escalation, in particular in protective services and solid waste pickup, have been astronomically higher this year than in any other year. And I just thank God that development occurred when it did, because I think otherwise we would have much more difficult decisions financially. What we're experiencing here as a council is no different than what the residents are experiencing in their own home. Like the costs that they are seeing in their home, and the cost of doing business, the cost of food, all those things, we're experiencing those same increases as well. And so it's not without a lot of compassion that we look at these numbers and say, remember how these fees impact the resident. And so I get the question, and I think that's all I mean, I kind of don't feel like I answered the question. I think I may have answered another one, but I guess I respect the fact that there's a difference in those two taxation models, because there are.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you. The only thing I would add is, you know, the more, I guess, that we deter business to come here or to operate here, the less tax dollars we do have. Mm-hmm. And the less tax dollars we do have means the less services we are going to have. And along with that would also, you know, one of the comments that Councillor Madden made was in regards about a tax decrease. You know, like when he talked about the windmills and, you know, well, outside of a tax decrease, because we all know of what's happening with our budgets and the cost of services going up, I would be a lot more concerned about a significant tax increase. That would happen. And again, if we deter business, if we deter growth, we're not going to have growth. And if we don't have growth, and if we don't have people that want to come here because of, or set up shop here, if they decide, you know what, I am not going to set up my shop in the municipality of Argyle because I see what's going on. I'm going to go set my shop up in the municipality of Barrington, or I'm going to set my shop up in municipality of Yarmouth. We're going to lose that tax revenue here. And if we lose that tax revenue here, then our options are either cut services or increase our tax rate, or both, right? And I think we're trying very hard as a council to keep our tax rate where we can, because we know what the struggles are for people out there right now. And we know what our cost of services are doing and the cost of our budgets. So I think it's really, really important that we show as a municipality that we are pro-business. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that, we, go destroy the environment or whatever. We have a responsibility in regards to making sure that what we do things right. And again, I'm a new counselor. I've only been here since October. I am faced with this. But going back and looking and researching everything that I have on the ADA and looking at what the previous councils have done, I commend you guys for what you have done, because I definitely think it's the right decision. Thank you.
Councilor Madden?
All right, that's good. We've had this discussion. I just have a few little comments, if I may. That's not on here, but that's something I've wrote up. And as being a regular resident before this was decided, and as a councillor now trying to help my constituents, I don't know what they will think of this, but at least we've had the conversation where we couldn't have it before. So part of this is some of the FOIPOPs I've read and the emails. At one point in time, it almost seems like Charlene and Alex are working for the oyster farmers and not for the municipality, but reporting to the municipality. And this is just an observation. And as a last comment, and I can be corrected on this, but I'm trying to go back to when I was councillor in 08 to 2012. I don't remember any other project or industry that this municipality got so involved in. Like, we didn't tell the tin mine where to dig. We don't tell the windmill people where to put windmills, and we didn't tell Hubert Pache where to put his service station. So I can't understand why the municipality got involved in telling the oyster farmers where to put their cages. And how do we, why did we ever get involved? I just, it'll stay, I guess, a big question in my mind. I think the aquaculture business would have went along quite fine with the way it was without the municipality being involved. I am not against them. I just don't know why, as a municipality, we got involved in that business, because it's a water-based business, a provincial entity, where the province probably reaps more benefits than we do, but we've got a lot of bills because of it. So I'll end with that, and hopefully my constituents will appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Digdon?
Thank you. And I'm sure your residents will appreciate it. I appreciate it. And that really, because it's putting some light on the subject. Having said that, if a person or group today would like to stop or put a hold on these proposed leases, what level of government is in charge of that today?
The province.
Pardon me? The province. It's the province of Nova Scotia. So it's no longer the municipality of Argyle that can stop it.
It never was.
Pardon me?
That's why I don't have a motion or anything.
No, but the only thing, I guess, what I'm saying is, some of the group, or a lot of the group that you're representing here this evening, and that they may have valid points, and I feel as though it might be better to go to another level of government than bashing, I guess, and I think I'd be safe to say bashing, because some of the councillors on here have been bashed over it. And I feel as though they may be directing their energy towards the wrong level of government right now. And I would, if somebody asked me tomorrow, how could we stop it or whatever, I would say, go to your provincial government and see what they can do for you. It is out of our hands as a municipal government.
Warden Albright.
Thank you.
I kind of had something that I was going to ask along those lines. I was curious to know if, because when we had the FOIPOP discussion at our last meeting, you said, how come these FOIPOPs haven't gone to the province? Have these questions, have they sent them to the province?
You know, we haven't had an opportunity to ask questions to the province ourselves. They haven't been here with representation. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure they have reached out.
Okay.
But see, the problem here is we're in the community,
Yeah, trust me.
and we're getting the bombardment, and we're getting the questions. And some of them are fair, and some of them aren't. I'll agree with you.
Absolutely.
But, and when I look around, when you say you really for this, I'm looking at, and you guys aren't in the community that has those problems. You're on the outside, and you're probably not getting the complaints, and you're not seeing their reasoning. But again, to the province, and I'm going to apologize to the CAO when I asked them to stop talking, because the province just sends us letters. They said, this is what we've decided. And to me, this might as well put that letter in front of his face, because you can't talk to that letter. And I reached out to MLA LeBlanc, and his answer is, whatever the ADA decides, I'm for. So, to me, that just closes the door. The province closed the door on us. That's my opinion, anyhow.
CEO Muse.
No apology necessary, sir. I never took offense to that at all. This is your meeting.
No,
This is a council
I
meeting.
did feel,
And I totally, no need to say it. I'm more than happy to do what I can here. So on the issue, you raised an interesting point on why was the Municipality of Argyle involved in this particular project in the way that they were. And I think that what I think, there's a couple points I want to make about that. Like, so we have been involved in the Wedgeport wind turbine project. We've been involved in other similar projects. And you're quite correct. We have never selected the sites for those wind turbines. That's done through a regulatory framework with the Department of Environment. The siting is done with all sorts of people far smarter than I am that know how to do these things and know how to avoid certain environmental pitfalls. There are other, certainly we were not responsible for that. But I want to make one point very clear. We were definitely involved over a number of years on this project. As it states, and our involvement was very limited from a decision-making perspective. The decider has, will, and is the provincial government. And so if you are struggling with why did Argyle select where oyster farms can be sited, I can assure you with 100% accuracy, from the best of my knowledge, that we had zero say in those sites. Did we talk amongst the provincial government about the potential of sites? Absolutely we did. Did we have in any way a decision as to where the sites would be located? No. Did we know which sites were going to be announced on the 14th or 15th of April of '24? We did not. We didn't know any of those things. Those things remained and will always remain within the authority of the provincial government. So I think because we were involved, as much as we were in the pre-planning and the kind of the talks and the conversations and the things that we were done, it makes it look like we were far more involved than we were. I would point out that we did very much the same type of work with the Wedgeport wind farm, while a proponent has the responsibility to present his case or her case to the public and to the province. So the province is the regulator, and they have an obligation to do public engagement. The same is true for the aquaculture industry. They have regulations that they have to follow with the province. We cannot influence those. We may want other things to be considered in that, but it's not our call. And at the end of the day, when somebody is successful in applying for a lease, they have 90 days to put in a plan to the province, and then the province must provide a public consultation period of 30 days. It is slightly modified from the original non-ADA project. But there is a public consultation requirement that the industry has to lead, the same as what the industry had to do for wind turbines. Our involvement with wind turbines isn't as obvious as our involvement here. But we were involved because they needed to do a development agreement. We needed to do all these things. They needed to follow the same, they needed to follow certain rules that we regulated. And you're quite right. When it comes to aquaculture, there's very little that we would regulate in the water. We're land-based, landlubbers. So I think there's a big misunderstanding or an overstatement of our involvement here. There's no question we were excited, exuberant, passionate to try to get the information out to as many people as possible. A lot of the work that we did was with stakeholders that were on the water. So if the public says we don't feel like we were properly heard or represented, they had the opportunity to be, but there's no doubt, the stakeholder report is very clear that the work that we did was primarily with the people that operate on the water, navigation, tourism, environment, all of those people were involved in those in the stakeholder committee. The public was only really introduced to this through advertising and other means, and there were pop-ups and other things, but there's no doubt in my mind when you look at the stakeholder agreement that there was a lot of work done for the people that are using the water as a priority. That was the priority. And that was what the province wanted us to do, because they said you got to measure 8 things. And we said, okay, sir, or ma'am, because it was them regulating. And I think that's where the disconnect is. I think the community, we did what the province wanted us to do for a regulated project that they regulated, but the community didn't see themselves as part of that process. And I respect that. I respect that thought. I respect that feeling, because I know the work leaned more on those that were using the water than those that weren't. And so, but I will say this: if a town hall is what the public wishes, or an opportunity to speak with the province, they have still an opportunity to do that for the 5 sites. And if you wish, Councillor, we will make every effort to bring the province closer to your community, to have not the letter, right, but the face. We'll do everything that we can to get the face as close to your residents as possible. I understand we're on the ground. It makes it more difficult. It makes it easier for the community to come to us with these issues. But I think the province really needs to show their face and step in, and I think that's what I've heard from you. If that makes any sense. I just wanted to make it clear that we did not pick those sites, just like we didn't pick the sites for the wind turbines and all those other things. That was a piece I just wanted to make clear.
Councilor Med.
So my understanding, after talking to MLA LeBlanc, that the consultation, or not the consultation, but the response that the residents can do are online only? It's not going to be a town hall, it's not going to be...
That's a great question. I believe the
They have
answer
to
is yes.
submit their...
Yes.
They have to submit their concerns
Yes.
to the province within 30 days. And to me, that's not dialogue.
No, so I think you're correct when you say that it is online only. However, we can certainly reach out to the province and see whether they would do something more. So the regulations say you must do this, but it doesn't mean you can't do more. You must do the minimum. So we can pass that question along
I
to the province.
really believe that the community would love that opportunity to present their concerns
I agree.
face to face where somebody can answer them while waiting, instead of waiting for an answer?
If it's council's will, I will
think we
on your
can-
behalf reach out
And
and
I
make
think it
make
would
that clear.
get rid of our FOIPOP billing.
You do have a motion.
A motion to what? To bring in?
Yeah, it would be to
invite the
request
province
them
To council or to a town hall or to a meeting? And, I mean, I'll make the motion if it's going to happen. but
I can help you with that motion if you will
I
permit
wish
me.
you would.
I wouldn't call it a town hall or anything like that. I would just say that, that you're requesting the province to, in addition to their regulatory requirement for submission, that they present themselves in the community as part of this process.
I make that a motion.
Okay. All right.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so that was a good discussion. We will move on to 13I, choice. Councillor Madden.
So, I researched this afternoon trying to find out what the acronym CHOICE was for, but it really led me astray somewhere else. Anyhow, I'm on the CHOICE committee for the council, and we meet once a month in Yarmouth or online. And this coming Thursday, May 1st, there's a community housing forum, and I tried to ask to get this put on our Facebook site. It's on there, or our page that we use for the municipality. And it's going to be very informative for people that want to get involved, that's carpenters or contractors, in the housing forum, and it's for new housing and low-cost housing. And the question at my meeting was, what are we planning to do, in which was the subject earlier, with our development behind the office here? If you could elaborate on that. And then I didn't get all the information I wanted, but there is more homelessness than we think or that I knew about. And I think I took this over from the former warden, Danny. So I'm just trying to get new at it. So I apologize for lack of information. But Natalie Smith said that she would come talk to us if we invited her to get a lot more information. She's very knowledgeable on this, and she works with the town. So also, they just received $2 million, I believe, for housing. Under the Accelerator Fund. I figure you would know that, but just for council and information out there. But I guess if you could elaborate on what is possible for housing, because they keep asking me, they know there's some kind of expansion here.
Right. That's an excellent question. I think that, so first of all, I'd say that Natalie Smith, being in the town and seeing this more readily than we, would be an excellent resource for this council, and whether it's a public or a working session with council to have a conversation with Natalie with CAO Gushu's leave, that would be a wonderful idea. Secondly, I did mention the fact that there will be some zoning that requires housing in there, and that zoning might actually insist upon certain types of housing. I will say that developers will be contacted. We do have a bit more of a challenge with being in a more rural setting. Towns have had more success fitting the criteria for funding. So the Accelerator Fund, I'm very familiar with that fund, and we didn't tick enough boxes. It is designed for the most part for heavily urban areas because of the amount of housing or houses that they would have to develop. Our number isn't as high as theirs, not to say that we don't have a demand, it just doesn't fit the criteria as it stands today. Criteria has changed and we're keeping a look on it. But we're actively approaching developers both within and outside of the organization to say, look, this is what's going on, and we have to open the conversation with the province as well. There are opportunities for land swaps with the province where developers actually might access the land for free, which is not something that used to be a reality for municipalities. We had to charge profit-oriented organizations, so there are those kinds of things going on. I'm also, like the HST on new construction and that the elimination of HST in certain areas that have been announced recently, obviously conditional on election, but that may have a tremendous positive impact on the developers. 15% is a big savings. So I wish I had more to tell you on the specifics of that, Councillor, but I will say that will come out in the coming months, and you will be part of that. Your council will be required to make decisions in this area. And we are in contact with Minister LeBlanc, who has all the contacts provincially so that we can start that conversation with potential developers. Finally, I would say that if there is any room for provincial-related housing, so what I'm talking about there is your, like in Tuscot, right? There's the
Senior home, or
Yeah,
I call it the senior home, but I
right.
don't think it's called that anymore.
It's not, it
Nova
used to be the
Apartments.
Tri-County Housing Authority, I think now it's bigger
No,
now, South Shore Housing Authority, but those are low-income providers. The province provides that service, and it's usually 20 or 30% of your total income is rent, and it's a fixed fee, so they subsidize the difference. We used to subsidize that ourselves, but we do not anymore, it's entirely provincial. There may be some opportunities for additional housing in that area in the back there that I can, will be investigated, but obviously that's in the hands of the province. There is a new construction in the housing authority area in Wedgeport, so Councillor Boudreau, who's not here, would be more aware of that situation. So that's about as much as I can say today, Councillor, but understand that this is a priority that we have to be pushing forward. The first step is really to develop that road so that those lots can be made available. It still hasn't stopped us from having conversations with the developers, but it's harder in Argyle than it is in HRM and other places.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to put it there for awareness and that poster. So thank you for that, CAO.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will move to 14, correspondence and for information. 14A, We Care Radiothon was a letter of thanks from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation for a donation. I think it's pretty straightforward. Is there any questions? So we will move to 14B, correspondence from Honorable Kim Marston for the 9/11 cost recovery. That was for the residential signs, that recovery,
For the, the signage.
the
Civic
signage. Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry, I was thinking the 5013 sign.
No.
Civic signage.
Yeah.
Please give us a refund.
And C, Dion Oyster Company, new land-based shellfish. It's a proposed land-based nursery. I believe our CAO knows a little more about that than I do.
This is
There's
a.
three attachments, so.
Yeah, so this is a provincial, the province is obligated to make this a public document. So this is an application for a land-based nursery in Lower Eelbrook, having to do with oysters. Our role, we have no part in that, but since it's land-based, they have to abide by land use rules. So we are looking into that. We've instructed the proponent that, look, we understand that you're used to dealing with the province, but you're on land now. And so there are regulations that they have to abide by, and we're looking into that.
Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to 12-month notice to municipalities, and there's an attachment. This has to do with provincial notifications of anything that's going to be costly, basically, to our municipality, and we require a year's advance notice. Any questions on that one? Seeing none, we go to E, Nicole.
Yes, that's. Okay, so I know they don't really like letters, but I'm going to read the letter that we received because there are people who would want to hear this information as well. This letter was received yesterday through email from Minister Kent Smith. Dear Warden Albright, I understand that questions have been raised by some of your residents about the role of the municipality of the District of Argyle that we played in the development of the ADA pilot project. I am writing to confirm the respective roles of the municipality and the Nova Scotia Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture in that development. The authority to establish an ADA and issue aquaculture licenses and leases is the exclusive jurisdiction of the department through the Fisheries and Coastal Resources Act. And it gives the dates of the act. In accordance to the FCRA, the minister, with the approval of the governor and council, has the power to designate an aquaculture development area and to set any conditions and restrictions on the conduct of aquaculture or of any other activities in the designated area. The power was accordingly exercised, resulting in the municipality of the District of Argyle Aquaculture Development Area designation, which, effective April 12, 2024, has the status of a regulation under the FCRA. The FCRA also provides the authority to issue the aquaculture licenses and leases within the ADA to the aquaculture administrator, an employee of the department appointed by the minister. The regulations governing the process for administering competitive calls for proposals and applications for aquaculture licenses and leases are found in the aquaculture license and lease regulations. Part of the licensing and leasing application process includes a 30-day public comment period. In addition, decisions made by the aquaculture administrator can be appealed to the minister. The department established the process for identifying the ADA locations and was responsible for deciding which locations would be included in the ADA submission to the minister and governor and council. Furthermore, the decision on which locations would be included in the call for proposal was made by the minister in consultation with staff. The municipality has no legislative authority with respect to the establishment of the ADA or the issuance of aquaculture licenses and leases within the ADA. Through a Memorandum of Understanding, or the MOU, signed in February of 2020, the department and the municipality agreed to collaboratively explore opportunities for aquaculture development in the waters in and around the municipality, including working to establish an ADA. As part of the MOU, the municipality agreed to lead the consultation with the community stakeholders and to supply a report on those consultations to the minister. The public engagement on this project, led by the municipality and supported by the department, was comprehensive, thorough, and well documented. The purpose of the ADA was to proactively identify aquaculture sites through data collection, stakeholder engagement, and analysis. To suggest that the municipality did something wrong by engaging directly with industry to help identify locations for the ADA is a misunderstanding of the purpose of the ADA pilot project and the municipality's role as defined in the MOU. The municipality had no decision-making authority in this process. I understand that there may still be questions from people who live near the ADA locations. I have committed to the municipality that we will not be announcing any additional calls for proposals for ADA locations until the first applications are processed. I trust this letter clarifies our respective roles and answers questions your residents may have about the development of the ADA. Should people have additional questions or concerns about how the ADA was established, or they would like additional information about the licensing process within the ADA, I would encourage them to contact Bruce Hancock, the Executive Director of Aquaculture, and it leaves his email address. Yours sincerely, the Honorable Ken Smith. Councillor LeBlanc, you had asked if we could put this on our website as well, because under the Aquaculture Argyle. Would you like to make that a motion?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to make that a motion to have that put on to our website.
Okay.
Okay, moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Burke. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we are now going to financial request 15, West Pumlico Golf and Country. We decided to defer to budget deliberations. Didn't we not?
Yes.
And
Both 15A and B
B, yes.
relate to capital requests, and the best bet is to defer that to capital budget deliberations, yes.
Okay.
If I may.
Council LeBlanc.
Yep, thank you. I know it's deferred, and I would just like clarification, however, though, in regards to the West Pubnico Golf and Country Club's request on their assistance, the amount that they're asking for, is that 99,000 total, or is it 99,000 per year for 3 years? Or that's just 99,000 over 3 years? Okay, because I was, when going through the numbers on what was requested or what they're looking at, their different costs, was definitely totaled more than the 99, and so that's why I was asking that question. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to clarify that, that the West Pubnico Golf Course also made that financial request to the town and municipality of Yarmouth. That might be where the math is working against the 99 request.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, so we are down to number 16, agenda topics for next meeting, or notice of motion. Is there any? Seeing none? Question period. Any questions?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Warden, Mr. Chair. So there's 3 questions that I see here. Thank you, Scott Muse, for sending them. The first question is, can a member of the public lodge a code of conduct complaint against a member of council? The answer is, according to the legislation, they can. There are some areas here around confidentiality that I'm just following up on, because there was a question asked, and it does say that the confidentiality of the complainant, all persons subject to the complaint and all persons involved in the investigation will be kept confidential. So yes, the answer is it can be done by the public or another member of council or a staff member. We've seen situations where all 3 have occurred in the past. Second question is, the stakeholders report says the municipality donated 1,400 hours to the development of the ADA. Is this correct? I don't know what is said in the report, how it's said or how it's written, but if it says that there were 1,400 hours that were provided by staff to the stakeholder aspect of the ADA, then that is a correct statement. So if that's what it says in the report, that is correct. The last question is, how are the farms going to hurt the kayaking jobs? The Kayak Association was directly associated with the stakeholder engagement over the course of many years, and they told us precisely where the kayaks ran and where the ADA cannot run for that reason. And so I don't know if anybody can predict whether their jobs are impacted by ADA. Their jobs could be impacted by the coldness of the water. It can be impacted by a lot of different things. But I can assure this person asking the question that the kayaking locations were in no way part of any of these sites, because they wanted to make sure they were nowhere near them. And so not only was the association contacted, some of the local kayakers were also contacted. Those are the 3 questions that I had online.
Councilor Foster.
Yes, Mr. Muse. When you're talking about kayaks, are you talking about a finfish in the herring family? Or are you talking about a canoe that was designed in northern Labrador?
That's an excellent question.
Just for clarification.
Listen, that's an excellent question. I'm not aware of any jobs that relate to the boat. So I made the assumption, perhaps falsely, that it related to the kayaks, the fish. Thank you.
There's another group of people who are in, I'll call it the kayak canoe activity, who have expressed some concern about
Absolutely.
ADA as well.
Absolutely. And I don't believe that's the question here, but yeah, absolutely, I heard that as well.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we need a motion to go into camera for personnel matters.